everybody, it's Calxiyn here, and if you guys enjoyed this video, remember to become patrons over on Patreon, subscribe, or follow us over on social media to keep up with us and all that stuff. So today we are going to be talking about my idea or headcanon for Neo's backstory. So I'm going to take you guys from the very beginning and sort of like ease your way in, I guess. And so here's where I think the starting point is, right? Like, Neo's semblance lets you turn into anyone. And so I sort of see Neo starting out as, like, you know, modeling or, like, stuff like that. Because if you can turn into anyone, you wouldn't necessarily, like, I don't know about the rights distribution and stuff in Remnant, but imagine, like, turning into a celebrity and posing for some sort of, like,
you
can
pay for, Kylie Jenner, or you can get, like, discount Kylie Jenner.
Yeah, like,
we
stuff
have a
like
girl
that,
can turn
you
into
know what
anyone.
I mean? And so that could be, like, the sort of thing, like, Neo was a model, and she was, like, modeling as, like, a celebrity, because, like, or even, for maybe more nefarious reasons, like, Kylie Jenner was seen with Drake, or something like that, like, blackmail and stuff like that.
I like the idea of, like, I don't know, like her, like, pretending to be different people, like, turning herself into, like, a business person or businessman, and then taking like dick pics or nudes, and then
like stuff like
them.
that. So Neo, starting as like modeling and stuff like that. The little blackmail, little sketchy.
What do you do, Neo? So I'm a model, a little blackmail on the side,
a little bit,
so as
that's
a treat.
How it starts. But then as it continues, it's going on dates with men who have lost their dead wives and turning into their wives and stuff like that for a lot of money. Or, going on dates with people and turning into their potential love interest. Like, I want to go out with Glinda, but, like, I'm too, like, afraid. I want to do a run-through of, like, our first date, right? And so Neo turns into Glinda, and, like, that's what she does, right? Or, whoever. And so that's, the sort of, like, that's an escort, right? Like, an escort is someone who goes out on dates, right? Not necessarily sexual, right?
Like a sugar
then
baby.
It keeps going, you know what I mean? And, like, listen, okay? Neo likes to fuck, all right? Like, that's how I don't know. I feel like Neo is very confident in herself, and so I feel like that translates into some other areas as well. And so that's the thing about this sort of theory. I do not want it to be, like, looking down on sex work, or like, oh, this was such a terrible thing, like, Neo had to get out of it. Like, I don't want it to be seen like that. What I think, though, is that when you have sort of the situation where you're turning into other people, right? Because here's how I imagine it, right? Eventually, like, Neo goes to, like, this, like, very expensive brothel. Like, the big money brothel. Like not just a regular brothel, like a celebrity, for the elite, like an elite brothel, right? Like, people with lots of money. And, she has a little application form. You put a picture, you put how that person acted, like, if they're a real person, like, and they're dead, or, how that person should act if they are someone that's alive. Again, say Winter, Ironwood, whoever, right? I'd imagine somebody being like, the leader of Atlas, the headmaster of Atlas Academy? Yeah,
I want to get dicked down by Ironwood.
Yeah.
That would be like saying, like, I want to get dicked down by United States General H.R. McMaster.
Yeah, or I don't know, like, something like that, right? That's kind of funny. But, and so, you have that sort of, like, put in the picture and, like, writing down how they act like, and then Neo does it, and then they fuck. It's a very simple system, and Neo's, like, like, rolling in money. How I imagine this sort of progressing, though, is that, like, Roman, he's a criminal, all right? He's probably doing some drugs. He's probably doing some gambling. You know what I mean? He's probably doing some prostitutes,
women.
Okay? And so I feel like that there would be this whole, like, elite, like brothel, right?
Yeah.
And it has people with all different types of semblances that are specifically sort of curated, or sort of, like, there's an affinity to sex there. So, like, say a faunus that has tentacles, like, obviously, like, obviously,
okay, that's like a faunus who has, oh god, I thought, oh man, could you imagine if, like, that's the tentacle faunus, they have tentacle hands, this is a brothel.
I can't necessarily imagine, like, another specific semblance. Maybe you can
My
think of
semblance
one,
is that I don't have a gag reflex.
Oh god, maybe not something like that. I was thinking more like, how in My Hero Academia there are people with quirks, and, like, sometimes they're invisible and, like, sort of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, I would think that would be
with an invisible
like
person.
that would be a kink, and whatever, right? And so, like, people with sort of semblances that have some sort of sexual, I guess, undertone, if you wanna sort of call it that, right? And so Neo is sort of a part of this, like, big group of girls, and then, like, Roman, like, maybe sees her one day as herself, and he's just like, that girl, I I wanna get down with that girl. And so he fills out the application, but then he doesn't put someone else's photo. Like, he wants Neo to be Neo, and he sort of goes in.
He puts a little mirror on there.
Or just like a little, like, he just leaves it blank or whatever. And like, he sort of goes into the room, right? The door shuts behind him. Okay, Roman's just sort of like, he has his hands on his cane. He's just waiting for Neo to come in. Neo comes in. She sort of has the form in her hand. And she's pointing to it, and she's like, my dude, what the fuck, sis? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to fill this out. And he's just like, like in that Roman laugh. And he's like, I came here because I wanted you. And then they kiss. And then she leaves, and she goes with Roman, because Roman is the only person who has ever wanted her for her, and not wanted her just because she can turn into other people. And then she leaves, and then she stays with Roman and goes to fight crime and stuff. So yeah, that is like the whole sort of idea.
I feel like he was a little quick at the end. Like, I feel like Neo wouldn't...
And they kiss.
I feel like that changes Neo's, because on one hand, it's like, that's interesting that she's in power here.
Yeah.
And it's also, I like the idea of like Neo, like, I don't know, I almost like the idea if it was flipped, because it's because if we were to do this stereotypically, it would be that like Neo started off as a model, then he got a drug habit and like got a pimp. This is the stereotypical version. And she became a drug addict. She like got a pimp. The pimp was bad. She like got degraded by all these people, and she goes with the first person, Roman, who shows her. But this is opposite.
Like that Neo enjoys what she does.
Yes.
But when she gets with Roman, she's sort of like, like there's something, there's just something there, if that makes sense. There's something about being yourself and being empowered yourself that she likes.
I think it could be even better that we flip it, that Neo saves
Roman's
Roman.
Like, come with me.
No. That Neo saves Roman, so Roman gets to see Neo because Roman works for the underling of like the old big crime boss of Vale, and he runs that high-class brothel.
Sure.
And that's where Roman sees Neo, and that's where they develop this relationship. Then Roman gets in trouble, is about to get whacked, and then that's when Neo saves Roman.
I kind of like that. So like, you're saying that there's basically a big crime boss, like Roman was working for him, and then Roman got himself in some mischief.
Yeah.
And obviously Neo is this coveted, like, she's the golden goose, so you can't really talk back to her.
And they develop a relationship, but not save her, maybe because she can show that she can fight, and then maybe Roman learns that Neo can fight. They can have a little romance. It's not like they boink once and they're off to the races. Like, it's a bit of a to and fro with them.
I just want him to be like, I love you for you, Neo, and then they kiss.
Well, they can certainly have that, and I like the idea of them, like, they're like, I don't know, just like, what are we going to do about him? And then Neo, I mean, without saying anything, obviously, being like, we can take him on together. Yeah. And that's the story.
So they overthrow the head of the Yakuza.
Basically.
You know what I mean?
And that's the story, because I think that when it comes to, like, stories about sex workers, you talked about that earlier, that there's such negative connotations that they don't enjoy it, and that it's always bad and they need to be saved. So the idea that she enjoys it, it isn't terrible.
And then she saved Roman.
And she saved someone else.
Ass. Yeah.
I think
like
that's really subversive.
I still want them to have the romance.
They
like,
can still have that moment
the kissing and like
where Roman holds her face and says, "You don't understand. I want you." For you. Because maybe like he has a crush on her. Because he like works, maybe he like is like the general manager of the brothel.
Yeah, maybe he just works close, you know what I mean? Like maybe even like just like to manage and security, like stuff like that. He's a numbers guy. Yeah.
He's good in a fight, so maybe he was like, maybe he got in a fight protecting the brothel, he got bandaged up, and then Neo comes in and takes care of him afterwards.
Aww.
So it's a bit of a relationship. Up to the point of like,
I like that.
Like they think they're gonna have sex, and Neo almost expects it. It's like, who do you want? And then Roman's like, no. I want you. Yeah. That would be good.
I love that.
I think just adding a little more character, a little more development there, a little more subversive elements. I will say,
elements. Like, people like this, okay? 700 likes, 100 retweets, okay? People are here for this. Rooster Teeth, listen, we're right here. All right? We can go,
You don't gotta pay us much.
Texas, but yeah. So I really love this idea. Some people came up with darker things, but I think this would get too much in territory. I feel like it should be realistic.
Feel with
because
this,
at the same time, like, there are bad people in the world. And so there are people that are creepy and would ask for creepy things. And so somebody sort of had an idea of like the way that Neo sort of lost her ability to speak, if she can't speak, if she's mute or whatever, is because somebody basically like went crazy on her while she was being someone, like while she was being someone.
Like,
does that make sense?
The ex-girlfriend, and then
exactly, and he was something like that. But I just want it to be realistic, right? Because there are some incels in the world, okay? There's some people that are like, I want you to be my ex-girlfriend. I can't believe she broke my heart. And
violence
then he,
against sex workers
attacks
is very
her
common
and all
as
that
well.
stuff. So
Silence of is very, very
I feel
common.
like Neo would like kill that bitch. Like,
oh yeah, I also feel like Neo's in power. Like she'd shove a spike in his throat.
Yeah.
I also think that version where it's more even and less dark is more realistic for RWBY. I mean, brothel is kind of out there.
Yeah.
But like, you know, it's implied sex. You don't show it. Maybe you don't even, you know, it cuts to black.
Yeah, you know what's happening,
something happens there,
yeah.
but it's, I think something like that would be able to pass through RWBY and people wouldn't get too upset about it. I think it's very interesting. It's very interesting.
I love this idea. I love this idea so much.
It's positive. Like, it's a positive yet somewhat realistic, I think, depiction of sex work, which is something you see so rarely, which kind of causes the stigmatization of the work.
Yeah, and obviously, like, there are some things that aren't realistic. You can't literally turn into other people, right? Like, there's that part, right? And like, you know, we don't have any experience with this. We don't know people who have done it or any of that.
Speak for yourself.
Right?
Listen, it's,
you know what I mean?
It's hard on those streets.
And so, you know, it's just coming from our perspective of what we've seen in like media and stuff. I just don't like I guess like the Jekyll and Hyde thing where you have like a character like Lucy who's like, bring on the men. I love to do this. And then she meets Jekyll and she's like, my life is so sad. I want to be another person. Like, you know, I want him to sweep me off my feet and carry me away. Like, I don't want...
There's a lot of sex workers like sex work.
I think Bring On the Men is a great song, though, for this. I can imagine Neo, like, singing.
Your
That's
AMV
such a good
is going to be
song.
wild.
My AMV, yeah, exactly. My animatic.
Oh, man.
And so, yeah, that is basically everything, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we will see you guys later. Bye!